Today, the World Series circuit visits a more serene setting. Outside, it's peaceful, but inside, 10 players are ready for action, including 2 who've been here before.
I have an incredible record at the World Series. I love making the final table, and it's a very big event.
Bottom line is, if you're playing your best game year in, year out, you're going to win a lot of tournaments.
To win, both players will have to outlast 8 others who are just as hungry for victory.
It's the greatest feeling ever when you win a tournament.
Yes! I'm gonna win. That's why I'm here.
I'm on it. Be the best, you gotta beat the best.
This is my quest.
Just turning pockets inside out, boys. Coming to play.
The chips are flying in California. Welcome to a World Series of Poker circuit event presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. Outside San Diego is the Harrah's Rincon Casino. Over 200 people put up to 10 grand to enter, and now we're down to our final 10.
Hello everyone, I'm Lon McCarron alongside Norman Chad, and with apologies to Yogi Berra, it's deja vu all over again, as we'll be watching Chad Brown and Chris Ferguson each play in their second straight final table.
No small feat, Lon. To get here, it's not like you just tiptoe through the tulips. You gotta tiptoe through the toughest part of town. What are the chances of 2 guys getting to back-to-back final tables together? Heck, there was a better chance my ex-wife would go through back-to-back marriages with me.
Quite an accomplishment for Chad Brown, who finished 7th at the Atlantic City Circuit event, and Chris Ferguson, who finished there in 8th place.
Robert Williamson's best game is Omaha, but he's turned himself into a world-class Hold'em player.
And Prahlad Friedman, 26 years old, known as the best internet player. He's doing very well here. He is our chip leader. And there you see Prahlad with 475,000, Ferguson and Brown running 2 and 3. And there's the short stack at the table. Nassim Salem from San Diego on the Milwaukee's Best Light pocket cam. He's got ace-4 unsuited. And he throws in everything he's got.
On his rooster, boys.
All in.
So Salem going to put his tournament life at risk.
Thank you.
They love the action here.
That's how you go all in, Lon.
Big Daddy from Cincinnati.
Salem referring to Mark Hanna.
When you're making big money in the evening.
Big Daddy likes to serenade the table whenever he gets a chance.
First card looks pretty good for you, and the second card looks pretty good for you.
Good. So far, so good.
Got past me, baby.
Hanna will fold. King 5 of hearts he folded. That's Lonnie Alexander, gives it up. Prahlad says no thanks. Over to 5-time World Series bracelet winner Chris Ferguson. Chris looking at a queen and 6 suited in hearts.
Similar cards to Big Daddy from Cincinnati.
Jesus, I'm Catholic, okay?
I'm not.
Ooh, and he fires back.
Lon, we've got a big headline here.
So Chris Ferguson will make the call and put Nassim Salem at risk. Here's our flop. King 3-2. There's some possibility there.
Come on,
Not a bad flop for Salem. He still has the best hand and now the best draw. He can make a straight with a 5.
That doesn't make me draw dead, though, at least.
5 for an ace, and it's over.
And the turn card is a 3. The board pairs.
Okay, come on.
So now Ferguson can knock out Salem on the river only with a queen or a 6.
Knock me out the next hand, Jesus. Not this one.
Salem's ace in the hole, making all the difference right now. Now the river card's a jack of clubs.
Yes. Yeah.
Nassim Salem's ace wins the hand, and he survives.
Chip and a chair and a prayer. For Jesus.
Salem wins the hand, doubles up through Jesus, but is still the short stack at this table. And Big Daddy from Cincinnati not singing now. He folded what would have been the winning cards. Boy, you hate to see that.
Well, maybe if the off-key karaoke king sang less and played more, he would have won the hand.
Back to Salem now. Couple of 7s, back all in. Those are decent desperation cards.
Oh, yeah. Return engagement, 2 shows nightly.
Win a pot, you feel a little froggy there, aren't you?
Big Daddy from Cincinnati.
You're a tough turtle to drown, you know that?
I try.
Suited cards again.
That was a pretty weak hand.
See, Big Daddy talks a lot. but he really doesn't play a whole lot.
All right, so around the table we go. Prahlad kicks it in. There is Keith Sexton. He will fold. As does Chris Ferguson. Action now on Alex Prentice from Miami, 24 years old. He wants a count of Salem's chips.
Have you looked at your hand yet?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
This is Alex Prentice's third major tournament. He's cashed in all three.
Okay.
So Alex Prentice, with a couple of tens, has the upper hand on Salem.
I'm done. 2 sevens against 2 tens.
Alex looks like the executioner.
Nice hand.
Alex Prentice, very superstitious, hasn't shaven since the tournament began, and has not changed his socks.
Salem sitting next to him. No wonder he's anxious to go all in. Oh, and now a set of tens for Prentice, all but shuts the hatch on Salem.
You got a straight draw.
And Salem technically still alive. They can still split the pot if an ace-high straight comes up, but
You ain't out of here yet.
he knows he's out of here.
And now the turn card. It's a 3, and now Prentice earns the check mark. He has won the hand. Salem drawing dead, a meaningless 2 on the river. Nassim Salem, eliminated in 10th place, wins almost $28,000.
The 2005 World Series of Poker is presented by Milwaukee's Best Light, brewed for a man's taste, Miller Brewing Company, and in part by New Degree for men who take risks. It won't let you down. And Harris Entertainment, home of the world's richest poker tournament.
There's the winner's share, over $650,000, and one styling ring to the winner of the circuit event today. One player down, 9 remain. Action on to Robert Williamson.
Robert recently obtained a different type of ring when he got married. Good luck, buddy.
King Jack of clubs.
Right.
And he will raise the big blind to 19,000. Chad Brown says no. Over to Mark Big Daddy Hanna. Ace King.
I'm all in.
See how quiet he gets when he has a hand? Solemn.
So to stay in the hand, Robert Williamson will need to commit over 40,000 more of his chips.
And his problem is that's half his remaining stack, and he knows Big Daddy, who's all in, doesn't play a lot of hands.
Would you like a coin?
Thanks, I appreciate the offer, though.
Heads or tails?
If Robert thought this was a coin flip hand, he'd stay in.
I hate the fact that I'm getting priced in to call. It's terrible.
Robert talking about the amount of chips he's already committed and how much he can win out of this pot.
I had no choice about the price in or price out. I would put more money if I had it.
That I believe, my friend. That I believe.
Robert fears he might be up against aces, kings, queens, jacks, or an ace-king would kill him.
And Robert Williamson does fold, and that gives the hand to Mark Big Daddy Hanna.
Thank you very much.
That's a tough spot for Robert, but he made the right decision.
I'm trying to think of one that's appropriate, but I can't figure which one would be.
They're calling for a song from Mark, who's been the singer throughout this event, relishing every moment of his poker odyssey, maybe because everywhere he goes, he's at home.
Well, I don't mind when you steal my blind. I sing, I make fun, I make jokes.
I've never been serenaded by the small blind before. This is great.
There's nothing more boring than playing poker with people who go, I have more fun. I have a good time everything I do. If I don't have a good time, I don't do it. Boom! Another one bites dust. This is a Travel Supreme Select, 45-foot, as big a motor home as you can get. Why don't you follow me inside, wipe your paws. Well, this is home. This is where I can play online poker and sharpen my skills. Yeah, fireplace, plasma TV, nice little bathroom, king-size bed, full-size washer, full-size dryer, granite countertops, marble floors. It's home. And these are the guys who cheer me on. Doesn't matter if I win or lose, they got loving in store for me. And this gives me an avenue to escape. It's always like playing with a home field advantage. Now you know why I sing at the table. Come here, big boy.
That's a big motorhome, Lon, but I believe you probably can hear Big Daddy no matter where you are in it.
It's got a good echo on it, I bet you, inside that motorhome. All right, the blinds are 3 and 6,000. Action on Alex Prentice. with a couple of fours.
Alex worked in real estate right after he got out of college, and on his second or third day said, I don't like sitting in an office.
Over to Chad Brown. Both these players in early position, a couple of deuces. He's thinking about it. And he will call the big blind. Did Gus Hansen put out an instructional videotape while we weren't looking at fours and deuces?
Gus doesn't like anything paired, actually. He does like the little cards.
All right, we move around to Prahlad Friedman. He gives it up, as does Sexton.
And Chris Ferguson is in the big blind. He can play for free right now, or he has the option to raise.
Got a couple of spades, jack and a 6. And he is in the big blind and will check the action. And here comes our flop. And all low cards, and that could be deadly for Chad Brown. He flops a set, but he's still second best.
You are right. That is a deadly flop for Chad Brown because he's well behind Alex Prentice's bigger set.
Ferguson checks. Alex Prentice puts out 15,000 chips.
A modest bet. Looking for a call.
Prentice beginning to set up Chad Brown to take him down.
And in just calling, actually, Chad Brown thinks he's setting up Alex Prentice himself. He's slow playing his set, not realizing he's behind.
Chris Ferguson folds his cards. Nothing but a gut shot straight draw. He'll risk no chips over that. And now the turn card. It's an ace. There's a wheel draw on the board, but Prentice still leads with 3 fours. And now Prentice continues to move 25,000 chips. The player percentages evenly incorporate the 10% chance that there will be a split pot.
But right now, Lon, Chad's in worse shape than I was when I was in Marine boot camp.
He does make the call, and we will go to the river. So one card to come, and it is a 5, and we've got a straight on the board. If both players stay in the hand, we'll have a split pot.
Jesus would have won this with a 6-high straight if he'd stayed in. Meanwhile, Prentice has got to be burning inside as he checks because this whole pot was his.
Chad Brown checks as well, and now the players see they've got a split pot.
Wow. God.
Alex Prentice knows now that he would have had a lot of chips coming his way, but that 5 on the river prevented that.
Wow. Chris, you missed out on a 3-way chop.
It wasn't a 3-way chop if I hadn't missed out on it.
Oh, strong words.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Gotta ignore and move on. Welcome back to this World Series of Poker Circuit event presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. Prahlad Friedman won his World Series bracelet in 2003 in pot limit hold'em. He's looking at 8-6 offsuit.
Prahlad is a vegetarian, Lon, and he likes to meditate a lot. I disagree with both of those decisions, but hey, he's got to live his own life.
Friedman raised it to make it 20,000 total with his 8-6. Action to Robert Williamson. Couple of aces in the hole.
That's a meat lover's hand.
All right, well, Robert certainly will be in the hand. We'll see how strongly he moves. And he'll make it 60,000 now.
Let's get it out of the mud.
And a couple of kings for Mark Hanna.
I'm all in.
Gotta be. Short stack, couple of kings.
And now Prahlad, he was just sticking a toe in the water, and he doesn't want to get his whole foot cut off, so he's gone.
I'll need help, for sure. I call.
Man.
I call.
Robert's got to make that call.
Choice.
Oh, worst case scenario for Big Daddy.
Oh, my God.
I had no choice. Best hand I had today.
I understand.
Yeah, he talks loose, but he plays tight. Has not played many hands today, Lon.
Big Daddy Mark Hanna all in with a tournament life at stake.
I'm feeling lucky.
Aces against kings. Here comes the flop. Oh, set of aces for Williamson.
That does not look lucky. And now Hanna all but out of here. He need runner to make a straight.
I got the same Chance Dillinger had in that alley in Chicago.
Well,
Stop, please.
bullets are shooting down Mark Hanna as well. And here comes our turn card. It's a 7. Robert Williamson earns the check mark. Mark Hanna drawing dead and has been eliminated in 9th place from this final table.
I really enjoyed playing with you. Honest to God, I did.
We'll see each other again.
You make sure of it, okay?
Thank you. I hope all of you win. I really do. I know all of you can't win, but I hope you do.
Big Daddy says goodbye to the room, then shakes hands with a man they call Jesus. As we learned in this edition of The Nuts, poker nicknames are almost required to get a seat at the table.
Can you be a poker player and not have a nickname?
They call me the Quiet Lion.
Kamikaze Korea, baby.
It's awesome, man. Great grammar.
I love the colorfulness, the different characters it creates.
Crazy Horse, the professor of poker.
Empty seat.
There's like 27 Steves and 80 Petes.
It's easier to remember a nickname than it is to remember the guy's real name. It's Miami John instead of John Cernuto.
Geography has always been a popular source for finding a nickname.
Amarillo Slim.
Texas Dolly.
Crazy Canuck.
The Flying Dutchman.
Give me the money, damn it!
At the poker table, you may find yourself next to a master.
You sit next to a man, the master.
I move furniture, man, for a living. Now I'm sitting next to you.
Or perhaps rubbing elbows with actual royalty.
They call me the Prince of Poker.
That's right, baby.
Speak English, man.
Some nicknames make perfect sense.
My nickname is Mike the Mouth. God shall giveth, and God shall taketh away. Apparently, I'm Poker Brat. Is anybody out there rooting for me?
And then there are those nicknames that simply defy explanation.
My nickname is Wookie.
Yeah, nicknames are all over the poker room, but there's still a few guys out there who just can't find one.
I don't know why. I've never had a nickname. Usually it's like Robert, or if somebody wants to get on a limb, they call me Bob. Woo! Nothing really ever stuck.
I think Jazzman. What do you think? Beatnik? Jazzman?
No, he's the gambler.
Jazzman Williamson. I like it.
Robert the Gambler Williamson.
All right, we'll hash this out as we go through the day. Back to action here at our final table. And Lonnie Montana Alexander. He moved to Vegas from Montana. Former car salesman on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam. He's got a queen and an ace. And he will act. Montana raises $25,000.
The blinds right now 4 and 8,000 in no limit. The standard opening raise is 3 or 4 times the big blind. Thus the 25,000 off the 8. You can do the math, Lon, I think.
Alex Prentice with a couple of aces. Similar aces held up for Jazzman in the previous hand we saw.
Oh, with Jazzman. It might stick.
Alex Prentice will re-raise now $50,000.
Yeah, with pocket aces, he's doing a different type of math than Lonnie Alexander.
Pull my 33 in.
Now Alexander with the decision.
Yeah, he was not happy with the raise.
I'm all in.
I call.
Oh, wow. Rapid fire action from these two players. They have almost identical chip stacks, but actually Alexander has Prentice covered by about 3,000 chips. And so Alex Prentice's tournament life will be at stake, even though he's got the aces and the huge advantage.
Well, it is getting a little chilly in here, so it doesn't hurt to put on the jacket. And if he loses his hand, he is all but out of here.
So now the flop, aces versus ace-queen. Well, Alexander gets another queen, but he sure could use a third.
Or if he gets running diamonds, he would knock Prentice out of the tournament.
Now, whoever wins this pot will be right back in the thick of the competition. Turn cards, a 2 of clubs. Alexander running out of cards.
Come on, baby. Just one queen. Just one. Just one queen, baby.
And it is a queen and a queen only on the river. That would knock out Alex Prentice.
And now the river card. And the 9 makes it official.
Nice.
Prentice wins with a pair of aces. So Lonnie Alexander is crippled, and it's nothing but good news for Alex Prentice.
Got some chips to play with you guys now.
He does indeed. Over $330,000 for Prentice, and for Alexander, well, he's got 3 chips in a chair.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light.
Welcome back to Harrah's Rincon. Lonnie Alexander in the big blind is all in with his remaining 3,000 chips against Prahlad Friedman. Lonnie's got 3-6 offsuit. Prahlad dominating with the ace of hearts and queen of diamonds. Flop is 5-7-8. Alexander flops a straight draw.
And he gets hope.
Lord, don't tease me unless you get me there. Don't tease me like this. Get me there now, baby.
My experience is that the Lord loves to tease, Lon.
All right, it's a king on the turn. Friedman still best with the ace high.
What is that, 8 and 6? That's 14 outs. I can't look.
Alexander needs to pair his 6 or his 3.
14 outs.
Or a 9 or a 4 gives him a straight.
So Alexander
14 outs, baby.
Down to perhaps his last card in this tournament with the river card to come. It's a 5, and that will do it. Friedman's ace holds up. Alexander is gone in 8th place.
I pushed it the bad time.
The 1-2 punch of Alex Prentice and Prahlad Friedman spell the end of this tournament for Alexander. Friedman began the final table as the chip leader and has kept that rhythm, which is no surprise. Rhythm is what Prahlad is all about.
My main activity lately has been poker, but I write my own music. I freestyle, kind of abstract, poetic. It's like rap, kind of alternative hip-hop. My name's Prahlad Friedman. This is Off the Top of the Dome. It's ESPN. Hopefully I'll win this 652 or whatever it is. So now you should listen more to what I say, so now I don't even play. But when I bet all in, I might have it or I might not win. If they call me, that is, because maybe I'm bluffing, kids.
Eminem doesn't play No Limit. I'm not sure Prahlad should be rapping.
There is Mark Friedman, Prahlad's father and #1 supporter. Mr. Sexton will give it up, as does Prentice. Over to Robert Williamson.
Jazz man.
I like it. He's got King Queen. Offsuit, and he will raise 17,000. Not an easy day for the Jazz man today. It doesn't seem
a little out of tune.
Yeah. Prahlad Friedman with a couple of 8s in the big blind. And he will just call. And it took 17,000 more. So Williamson and Friedman to the flop. Pretty much a coin flip. And it comes out Queen, 10, 8, a bounty for each player, but Friedman now with a set of 8s.
Robert Williamson hit top pair on the flop, and that puts him on treacherous turf.
And Friedman acts with 50,000 chips. Robert Williamson faced with a big decision.
Prahlad wouldn't mind knocking him out right here in case he has a flush draw, a straight draw, or something.
Raise.
Well, Robert is going to come back over the top and raise. It's 100,000 now. And so Friedman has another decision to make. Friedman has been very confident in all of his decisions so far. Robert's anguish comes from that all-in call of Prahlad Friedman, because if Williamson wants to play, he is the one that has to be all in and put his tournament life at stake.
Might have come too far to turn around.
Turn around, Robert. Yeah, he's put a lot of chips in right now. He's overplayed his hand.
I call.
Robert Williamson will risk all of his chips, and this is our degree all-in moment.
Jesus.
And he sees the 8s he's up against.
I knew it was beat. I could have laid it down and saved my last money.
Now, Robert kicking himself that he should have gone away from the hand and decided not to. He thought he was beat, and he was beat.
Well played, Prahlad. Thanks. I could have got away from this. At least give me a jack, give me a sweat.
He wants a chance.
Yeah, they'll give him a chance for a straight, which is his only chance to win this pot.
And now the turn card, it's a 2, and you see the degree check mark next to Prahlad's name. Robert is drawing dead. There's a meaningless 5 on the river, and Robert Williamson is eliminated from this final table.
Yeah, I know. I know you played a pair and a gut shot the same way. That's the only reason why I have to come.
Yeah,
I know you're going to play that hand the same way.
Almost $80,000 for Robert Williamson. He had a lot of tough decisions here at the final table, but the ultimate test came at the hands of Prahlad Friedman.
I know I had to go all in or muck it, one of the two, but some days chicken, some day feathers. Today I got feathers. Don't like it, but got to deal with it.
The all-in moment is brought to you by New Degree for Men. For men who take risks, it won't let you down.
Welcome back to this World Series of Poker Circuit event presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. There's Keith Sexton, who's all in and trailing Prahlad Friedman's 2-pair. We're going to the river.
And Sexton will need to pair his ace or his 10 or get a 9 on the river to make a straight to stay alive.
And now our river card is a 4, and it's Friedman who gets the win with a straight. And in the process, knocking off another player, Keith Sexton takes 6th place and just under $100,000. And Friedman's dad loving what he sees. Prahlad Friedman was our chip leader coming in. He still is very strong, and he is eyeing that first place money. So Prahlad Friedman just over $900,000. Alex Prentice now the short stack at the table. And you see the short stack now has to turn his hat around just to indicate he is the short stack at the table.
Well, he is superstitious, so maybe he has a rally cap mentality.
And he's got a king-queen offsuit and ready to act. He'll move all in. Alex Prentice putting his tournament life at stake. And that is James Worth from Toronto, Canada. His online screen name is the Crazy Canuck. He's looking at a suited ace-9.
He's a prolific internet player, knows Prahlad Friedman quite well from the internet, and he gives up those cards. They were good cards, but perhaps he's not happy with being in early position. Plus, he's pretty short stacked, didn't want to risk it.
Friedman folds over to Chris Jesus Ferguson. Suited ace-6 in the big blind.
That's a similar hand to James Worth, but he's in a later position. He's got a lot more chips, and he's going to think about it.
Prentice just wants to stay around another hand. Chris is going to give him some competition, and he'll make the call.
Ace Jack 10.
He wants to flop a straight.
That's asking a little much.
Hey, if you're going to ask, you ask for everything. And now the flop, ace Jack 6. Oh, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, but it is bad because it's aces up for Chris Ferguson.
Oh, Jesus paired both of his hole cards. Here comes the turn. An 8, no help for Prentice.
And now Prentice is going to need that 10 he asked for earlier. If he doesn't get the 10, he's going home and he'll get to change his socks.
So Alex Prentice perhaps down to his last card. A 9. It's close, but no cigar. Ferguson's ace is up. Knocks Alex Prentice out of this tournament in 5th place. Over $119,000 for the 24-year-old.
If Worth had played, he would have knocked out Prentice with aces over 9s.
So Jesus keeps rolling along. He got a little lucky flopping 2-pair, but he's someone who knows a thing or two about luck versus skill.
People ask me what percentage of poker is luck and what percentage of poker is skill.
Ferguson does it again.
On any single hand, it might be 99% luck.
I survived Chris Ferguson.
But over the course of a year, well, now it's probably 90% skill and 10% luck.
Chris set the record for most finishes in the money last year with 8.
He turned 1 chip into more than 200,000 in chips.
I take the game very, very, very seriously.
Can't get a read on the guy. It's unbelievable. The guy just sits there.
If you don't keep improving at poker, you're wasting your time. I have more wins than anyone else in the last 5 years. I won the main event at the World Series in 2000. I have 36 money finishes and 24 final tables at the World Series. You can't have a great year without being a strong player. And I'm probably a better player now than I've ever been.
Robert Williamson told me the other day that reading people is not Jesus' forte, but he's just an incredible tournament strategist. He knows when to speed up, he knows when to slow down, he knows when to move his chips.
You will rarely find Jesus in a cash game, but as you mentioned, he is one of the most feared tournament players around. He's looking at a couple of 6s. Looks like a raise. He'll raise 28,000 chips. Chad Brown will fold. And now over to James Worth, our Crazy Canuck, looking at a couple of 4s.
He's been anything but crazy today, Lon. Has found very little to play. He knows his time may be running short here.
And he knows how to push all in, too, with style. James Worth risking it all.
You like the underhand push?
I do.
How much more is it this time?
139.
So action over to Chris Jesus Ferguson with his 6s.
Yeah, Jesus has a lot of chips. He can afford to call us if he wants. If he thinks he's in a coin flip situation, he's certainly going to call it, and he's actually got him in a great situation.
And he'll make the call. James Worth hates what he sees.
And he sees immediately he's a 4-1 underdog to stay alive.
Crazy Canucks got a lot of work to do against Jesus.
This would be the time to get lucky.
Crazy Canuck needs some luck right now to stay in this game. Here comes the flop. Jack, 5, King, no matches. Ferguson still in control.
No luck in that flop. And Worth still in search of a 4.
Turn card 5, and that pairs the board.
I know there's 2 more 4s in that deck, Lon. And James Worth needs to see one right now, or he's going home.
And now the river card, perhaps the last for James Worth. The river card is a 9, and that's going to do it. Chris Ferguson wins the hand, eliminating James Worth in 4th place. Worth tried to steal the blinds and antes, but got caught by the bigger pair. Worth will take home almost $159,000. Good news for Jesus. He's got all of James Worth chips, and that means bad news for the players who remain. It's time for Hold'em or Fold'em, brought to you by Milwaukee's Best Light. Prahlad Friedman checks his hold cards. He's got pocket queens. The board has a pair of 4s with a 7, deuce 3.
Prahlad looking good with 2 pair.
Across the table, Alex Prentice bets 45,000 chips. If you're Prahlad Friedman, do you hold 'em or fold 'em?
I'm gonna get myself a beer.
Alex Prentice doesn't look like an honest man, Lon. I'd call his bet.
So what do you think? Fold him. Do you have an extra sweater?
Prahlad's got a lot of chips right now if he wants to play the bully at this final.
Fold him.
Prahlad reaches for chips and calls Prentice.
Oh, but Prentice has the 5 and a 6 for the nuts straight. I was wrong again. Prahlad should have folded.
I told you so.
The Toyota Points Leader is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's moving forward.
Many of the poker greats were among the crowd who came to play in this event, and while the $655,000 first prize was paramount in everyone's mind, the best of the best are also hoping to accumulate points towards the Toyota Player of the Year award. One of those greats, however, was knocked out before he even got going. TJ Cloutier eliminated after just 2 hands. And of course, the longer you stay alive, the more points you get. Based on their performances in Atlantic City and today, Chad Brown is currently number 1, Chris Ferguson number 2 on the Toyota leaderboard. Whoever finishes ahead of the other at this final table will take the points lead.
Chad doesn't strike a lot of fear in others, but he keeps making a lot of final tables, so people better start worrying about him.
Jesus looking at ace, queen, offsuit. That's how you squeeze cards. That's how you do it.
I wish they'd fan him out more because my eyesight is getting worse.
And Jesus comes out with a raise, 28,000. Over to Chad Brown. Got king 9 of hearts.
You shouldn't have a napkin in your hand when it's your turn to act, Lon. It's bad poker etiquette. Plus, there's a germ and bacterial factor.
It could block the camera, too. Well, Chad Brown now making a move. He pushes all his chips in.
Well, he tried to move all in there, Lon, but that's a string bet. He won't be allowed to go all in. Once he moves forward with chips, he can't go back to get more chips unless he had declared all in, which he had not.
So Prahlad Friedman folded. You saw that. Now back to Chris Ferguson. And he will re-raise. Sporting of him now to allow Chad Brown to go all in if he wants.
I hate going all in when I'm eating, Lon. You know, since I eat a lot and I go all in a lot, it happens a lot.
All right, so Chad Brown all in. He sees the bad news. Chris Ferguson flips over his ace-queen. Chad Brown at a big disadvantage as we go to the flop. And it's 3, 6, 7, no hearts for Brown. Jesus still with the ace-high advantage.
You'll need a 9 or a king on the turn or river to win this spot.
Might come a 5 or an 8 on the turn, too.
Chad Brown helping out tournament director Johnny Grooms with his outs. And now the turn card. Oh, it is a 5, and hope still flickers for Chad.
We now have three kings, 3 9s, and 4 8s.
And a 4 to chop.
And a 4 to chop. Outs everywhere, bro.
Got outs everywhere. You kidding me? This is like a candy store.
He's sitting pretty for a guy who's about to get knocked out.
One card to come on the river. It is a 10 of spades. No help to Chad Brown, who was eliminated by Chris Ferguson.
Good luck to you.
Thanks, Chris. Good luck to you.
And the two players who have been in back-to-back final tables share a moment as Brown takes his exit in third place, and Chris Ferguson just keeps getting stronger. Jesus has knocked off the last three players to exit this room. Prahlad Friedman gets some last-minute advice from his father. What a heads-up this is going to be between one of the greatest online players and one of the best live tournament players of all time.
I'm pretty focused. Anything less than first, and I'll be a little let down. But Chris might have a few plans for me.
Some people think I play very tight. Some people think I play very loose. And the truth of the matter is, I'll change the way I play depending on the particular situations. And to be a champion, you really have to play it that way.
I'm hoping I take it down.
$650,000 for first. That's fantastic.
The chips have been colored up and the cash is out on the table, and I gotta figure no matter how experienced you are, there's some shivers going up your spine when they stack the cash there.
Look at Jesus with his hand there. Chris trying to get an advance on his payday, which I don't think is allowed.
Chris Ferguson, 1.1 million chips. Prahlad Friedman, 932,000. And these guys are very close in chips for a heads up, and the blinds are 6,000 and 12,000.
As you mentioned before, the internet champion, so to speak, Prahlad, against the 2000 World Series of Poker main event champion, one of the best ever.
Prahlad Friedman with unsuited 10-9. And he will come up with 24,000 chips in the raise. And Chris Ferguson with suited non-connectors.
Prahlad is quite an aggressive player. Chris not as fast and loose with his chips.
Chris Ferguson will just call. And he has the slight advantage going to the flop. And the flop is 8-2-6. Jesus leads with a pair of sixes. Friedman's got a gut shot straight draw.
Jesus checks, and the action out of Prahlad.
Prahlad will come out with 60,000.
He's just trying to buy it right here.
Friedman with no made hand right now. Chris Ferguson is going to raise 100,000 now.
Jesus ain't buying whatever Prahlad is selling. Big raise.
Prahlad Friedman with nothing but a draw. And he is going to move everything into the pot. Wow.
Boy, that is a risky move with 10 high. That's for all his chips. That's for the tournament. And he has nothing.
That is getting Chris Ferguson to thinking.
Yeah, he's telling Chris, you got nothing, so I'm going to take my nothing and shove it right back at your nothing, and now you got something to think about.
Well, up to this point, Friedman has represented a big hand. But he's got nothing but a draw.
This could be a tough call for Jesus. He's got middle pair, which is decent heads up, but he might want to wait for a better spot.
And he indeed will wait for a better spot and folds to Prahlad Friedman's bluff.
Bluff, one time.
Oh, it's the first time Friedman's shown his cards all day.
I had a lot of outs against me. That's actually what I figured.
That's
exactly what I figured.
And I figured you'd figure, but I figured you might still fold.
That's exactly what I figured. I still laid it down.
As usual, I had nothing figured, Lon.
Well, I figure there's got to be a country song in there somewhere.
That's what I figured, yeah.
The 2005 World Series of Poker is presented by Milwaukee's Best Light, brewed for a man's taste, Miller Brewing Company, and in part by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's moving forward. And Harris Entertainment, home of the world's richest poker tournament.
Back at Harris Rincon Casino, this heads-up match continues in this World Series of Poker circuit event. Chris Jesus Ferguson squeezing a 10 with an ace offsuit. And Chris will raise 34,000 chips. He's in the small blind. Prahlad Friedman, King Jack.
Both with very good starting hands in heads up.
And Friedman will just call, not going to push too hard. He's known as Spirit Rock in the online world if you're playing around and you happen to run across him. Be careful. Oh, my, trip aces for Jesus on the flop.
Doubly disastrous for Prahlad. He flopped a pair of jacks, and look at the numbers. He's got a 1% chance of winning this hand.
Prahlad first to act, and he will check over to Ferguson.
Actually, I'm a little surprised that Chris is reaching. He's flopped almost an unbeatable hand, and I thought he might slow play it, but he's going to bet.
50,000 chips now.
I might have sat on those and hoped that Prahlad maybe improved his hand on the turn, but he's going to bet. Prahlad's got a hand he can play.
So he will make the call. And a lot of chips falling into this pot as we go to the turn. And the turn card. Oh, another ace, and Chris Ferguson has quad aces. When is the last time you've seen that?
And with quad aces, Jesus can't lose, and Prahlad just made an aces full boat.
Now the renowned strategic expertise of Jesus will come into play at this critical moment.
He's got the nuts. He wants to figure out how much he can bet to get paid off for it.
And that's the key, because right now, if he bets too much, perhaps he scares Prahlad away. Well, Ferguson will push 150,000 chips into the pot.
Yeah, Prahlad's already in the pot for 100,000. He has a full house himself with the jack. He can only be fearful of the case ace, or if Jesus has pocket kings or queens. And Chris has bet just about the right amount to keep Prahlad in this hand. He'll call.
Oh, this hand Prahlad has, almost impossible, at least for me, to lay it down.
Well, aces full of jacks is very strong, particularly heads up.
River card. Oh, it's a king, and how cruel is that? Friedman improves to aces full of kings. He's still second best.
Yeah, Lon, now, there would be only one card in the entire deck, the ace of hearts, that could beat him, and Chris Ferguson has it.
Friedman has checked over to Chris Ferguson.
And once again, Jesus will calculate how much he thinks he can put in that will be called. Prahlad already in this pot for $250,000.
Chris Ferguson figures 345,000 chips is enough.
I don't know how he gets the exact number 345, but it's a pretty good number because Prahlad probably is going to have to look at it and probably have to call this. It's a tough hand to fold. Only one card in the deck beats him.
4 aces for Chris Ferguson.
You know, Lon, I saw the Chris Ferguson bobblehead doll in the store the other day. The head doesn't move.
Did you get blessed with quads here? So brutal.
His only comment he can make is that's the only card that can beat him.
And you got to feel for Prahlad. You know, you cannot get a read on Jesus. You could put Jesus' entire body under a microscope or a really large magnifying glass, and you won't be able to pick up a thing.
I mean, he's not all in, but this is basically it for Prahlad. And Prahlad is going to make the call. And Jesus reveals the 4th ace.
And he takes most of Prahlad's chips with the only card in the deck he could do it with.
You can't fault Prahlad, Friedman, though.
Yeah, one call led to another, and Jesus preyed on that, making value bet after value bet.
I've made worse calls.
Yeah, it seems like a bad call now, but frankly, Lon, a lot of people would have gone all in with his hand. Only one card in the deck could beat him. He showed some good judgment there and at least having some chips still to play with.
When Prahlad, Friedman, and Chris Ferguson started this heads-up duel, they were about even in chips. Right now, Chris Jesus Ferguson enjoying about a 5-1 advantage on Friedman.
It's like Prahlad still trying to shake it off, and it'll be quite a while before he shakes that hand off.
5-4 suited in spades, and he's just going to call the big blind to Ferguson. Queen, Jack, and he will check. So to the flop we go. Ferguson with a slight advantage. And the flop comes Jack, King, 10. Ferguson pairs his jacks and gets a straight draw.
Great flop for Chris Ferguson. Prahlad has also picked up a draw with spades, and it's been checked to Prahlad Friedman.
Reaching for the auxiliary stack.
A little 50,000 chip semi-bluff. His hand's not there yet. He'd like to take it down right here.
Chris Ferguson now with the decision on how big. We know he's going to be there. 100,000 chips is the raise. Prahlad's still got to be thinking about that big hand he lost.
I'm all in.
Well, Prahlad Friedman is going to put his tournament life at stake with nothing.
Nothing but a draw. It's a gutsy play right here. Particularly a great play if Jesus leaves, but with Chris Ferguson's cards and what he's priced in already into this hand, it's hard to believe he's going to leave.
It's 272,000 chips to Ferguson to call, and he will move those chips in with middle pair. And each player shows their cards, and Prahlad Friedman sees the trouble he is in.
Prahlad nearly a 2-1 underdog. A spade would give him a win, or he's going to have to start seeing some 5s and 4s in a hurry.
2 spades on the board already. 2 in the hole for Friedman, and the turn card. It is a 7 of hearts, not what he's looking for.
And now he's only looking for one thing, one of the remaining 9 spades in the deck, or Prahlad Friedman is out of here, and Chris Ferguson is our champion.
What a heads up it's been between the online wizard and the World Series icon. The river card is a club.
Yes. Yes.
And Chris Ferguson is your champion. Prahlad Friedman with a great tournament finishes in 2nd position. Chris Ferguson, the winningest World Series player over the last 5 years, has done it again, taking it all here at Harrah's Rincon, earning $655,000. He sat quiet and patient as ever, but slowly took control of the table, gained momentum, and then gained all the chips.
Chris, does it ever grow old walking into card rooms and winning tournaments?
It never grows old. Oh, this is the greatest feeling in the world. I'm just so proud to have won this tournament. I didn't win a World Series event last year, but I guess I won a circuit event this year that makes up for last year.
For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarron. So long from the Rincon Casino.